Happy day, little mama. Got these for my birthday. Happy day. This is Positively D discussion. You have to remember that HIV still exists. You have to get tested. You have to use protection. And if you have contracted HIV, you can get on medication and you can live a better, healthier life. Today I have on a beautiful couple, the Castrihana. Oh, I said it right. I'm gonna bring them on right now.
You did. You did.
Did I say it right?
You did. Yeah.
This is Jake and Janelle. Janelle was on the show maybe a little over a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe about a year.
More or less.
We just discussed, just her journey and all that. But today we have on her great husband with us, and they're going to talk about their journey together. So we can just get started. I didn't play any commercials today. I just wanted to go right into the show. So let's talk about your journey. I guess you can start off. It would probably make it easier that way for you guys to just go ahead and start off and talk about how you met, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. No, you go.
Okay. He's so shy. Can you tell?
Yeah.
Okay. We met in college. It was love at first sight for me, but that was because he didn't see me. So otherwise it would have. So we met, we had a lot of the same friends. We went to a really small university here in San Antonio, Texas, and got to know each other through different, extracurricular activities and, stuff. Had a lot of the same friends, went around the same circles. Long story short, we ended up dating. This was like at the end of 2008. So we kind of started like, oh, I like you too. And nothing was really happening, right? We were dating, but like there was no, college. There was no sex. There was no, and I'm like, does he not like me? Like, what's going on here? Because he's acting like he likes me, but he doesn't. And then it was Valentine's Day of 2009. He took me on a date, made me a very fabulous lobster dinner, and told me, look, I have HIV. And that's why I haven't been, I haven't made it official because it's a big thing. And it took me a little while to get used to it. But honestly, when he told me, I remember having this weird out-of-body experience and being like, in the room was like, "Oh, you're," because he told me I'm dying, and I was like, "Well, what do you mean you're dying?" And he's like, "I have HIV." And so I said, "Well, you're not dying, you have HIV." And then I kind of like came to it and I'm like, "Who said that?" And it was me. I said that. And I was like, "Okay." So it took me a little while, right? You took me home, and then it was like, let me know if you're still interested. And I was already in love with the guy. He was such a good person and a good human, and we just fit so well together. And so we realized obviously our relationship was going to look a little bit different than our other friends, right? We really couldn't have sex, but it actually turned out good because it made him in other ways. It made us have every conversation. I just think in some ways it bonded us closer together. I'm not saying we definitely aren't like preaching like, abstinence or like that. That wasn't our reality. So anyway, long story short, about a year later, he proposed to me. And I said, "I'll marry you, but you have to get on medication," because he wasn't really on medication at the time. And so I said, "I'm not going to marry you to be a widow, and I want to have sex with my husband. So like, let's get on it." So he got on medication, and that was like late March, early April.
Around there, yeah.
And we had set the date between that time for July. So it was a quick turnaround marriage. Anyway, May 25th of that year, or whatever Memorial Day was that year, we decided we could have sex. We used condoms. The condom broke. Neither one of us knew that post-exposure prophylaxis existed. And so many months later, in October, we got the diagnosis. We got married in July. Then in October, I found out that I was HIV positive. And it was tough, but we got through it. Here we are 10 years later with 3 kids, all HIV negative, and still trying every day at this marriage thing. So
yeah. So let me ask you. So, Jake, did you really feel like you were dying? Did you think you were dying?
Well, when I got diagnosed, I had no idea what to do, and I was obviously devastated for a long time. And then just not taking care of it, just kind of like, I know it wasn't the right response, but it was like, I don't have to think about it and it doesn't exist.
Right.
And I figured, I didn't know a lot, but I knew a little bit. Because at the time of my diagnosis, I was about 22. And so I figured I wouldn't live to see 30.
You were young.
And so that's where that came from, basically.
And so it took you a year after you guys met, or after you got married, before you guys decided that you need to be on meds?
Oh, it was well, the process of getting on meds, at least for me, it wasn't immediate. Like, I went to several appointments and they did a lot of blood draws. So there's months in that process of going to the doctor, getting my blood drawn again, and then discussing different medications of what I went on. Because even though it had been a few years past from when I was diagnosed to when I was put on meds, my overall count was high, but it wasn't dangerously high.
Yeah.
So they weren't concerned with like an AIDS diagnosis. They were just concerned with control. So they were looking at long-term solutions versus short-term solutions.
It was a year after, about a year after he told me, right, when we first started meeting, that he proposed. And it was when he proposed, I said, yes, but you have to get on meds. That was kind of the ultimatum.
Because our doctor too is also very busy. So and he's the same doctor that I first started going to. Like, I've never changed doctors, and it takes about 3 months to get an appointment.
But you didn't even find him. I was the one who made you get on him after I told you to get on medication.
And the way that the system works here in Texas is you have to have a referral. So I had to go
a lot of places like that.
Yeah, so I had to go to a primary care physician first, have like a regular screening checkup, whatever, with her, and then in that one I was like, I'm really only here because I need a referral to get to the doctor, the HIV doctor, and she wrote me the referral then. But then so it was a little while to get just the primary care appointment, and then from that appointment to my first HIV doctor appointment, there was such a long line.
Yeah, because he was. I shouldn't say like he proposed and then I was like, get on meds. We had already been having the conversations leading up to the proposal to start getting on meds and taking it seriously. And then when he proposed, it was like, okay,
now
really get on it. You've been kind of pushing it off, like, yeah, I'll call. Yes, like he started slowly going to the doctor, and I was like, if you want to marry me, you got to get on, period. Like, that's the only way I'm walking down the aisle. So,
Janelle, so you being negative, you never had any thought of, oh, am I contracted? Oh, I don't know if I want to marry him. Oh, I love him, but I'm still not too sure. I'm just trying to figure out, what you were thinking.
Yeah. No, I mean, up until probably so we proposed to me in March, married in July. We set the date for a really quick turnaround marriage just because of my family situation. My parents were moving to El Paso and I was in San Antonio. And it was like, you know what? I've just can start our own life and I have to worry about where I'm going to live after, college. So throughout that time frame, a lot was happening. I had my family, my friends saying, because they knew about him being positive. They're like, are you sure? Like, what are you thinking? And I was like, yeah, I love him. And I really did. My parents told me, when I was 16, I remember they said, the man you marry or the needs to be the person you're willing to risk it all for. And you have to leave your family for even. And I was like, well, my person I marry will never make me leave my family. And so when it came down to it, my brother was like, are you going to tell mom and dad he's positive? Because if you don't, I'm going to tell him. Like, that's not, you shouldn't marry him if they don't know. Because we're a very close family. And so Jake, I hung up the phone. I remember vividly. I was in the car with Jake, and we had the conversation with my brother, and he's like, "You better tell mom and dad like tonight, or I will." And so I was just like crying, and Jake's like, "You know what? I can't do this to you. We need to break up because I will not separate you from your family. They mean so much to you." And I was like, "Okay, you're for sure the one." And even privately, I had conversations like, "I don't think I can do this. It's too much." And so when it actually happened, right? So when the condom, breaking happened, I was just like, it's okay. I kind of just in denial, like it will be okay. And then when it actually happened, when I got the diagnosis, most people were like, well, why weren't you just like, yeah, of course. No, right. That wasn't, everyone was telling me, you can't do this. And the best way to get me to do something is telling me that I can't do it. So everyone was like, you all can get married. It's going to happen. And I said, no, there's plenty of mixed status couples. We're going to prove y'all wrong. We're going to prove all y'all wrong. And we did not. It was tough. It was really tough. When it first happened, it was like, this was not the plan. Yeah. I told my whole family on this mixed status plan and we failed. But
I'm not sure if I said this the last time you were on, but I always say things happen the way they happen because that's the way they're supposed to happen. And
I believe that.
Yeah. And we take the things that we feel that is painful to us, but you take it and turn it around to a positive, and it helps you to grow into a better person. And that's what you guys done. You guys grown into better human beings, and then you're raising children now. You're living happy lives. You guys are really living happy lives. I watch you guys on TikTok. I may not click every single one, but I'm always watching. I'm always watching you, Janelle. And I just started following. Yeah, I just started following Jake. So, Jake, at 22 years old, I know that was a struggle for you finding out your diagnosis, being a heterosexual man in this so-called beautiful United States. Because people are so judgmental. They're so judgmental. And I know so many heterosexual men who live with HIV, and they are not open with their status because of the stigma. And then they put the internal stigma on them. How did you deal with that? And how are you dealing with it now? How did you deal with it in the beginning? And how are you dealing with it now?
So for a long time, I wasn't out with my status at all. And I didn't want to be because of the stigma. And so there was a lot of conversations, mainly from this one, right here about coming out and talking about our status. And I was just like, oh, I don't want to talk, because like I didn't tell anyone. Like I didn't tell my best friends. I didn't tell anyone about it. My parents knew, but like none of my other family knew.
Yeah.
And so when we started to when we started to talk about it openly, what was that, 2017, 2015, 2017?
2017, I think.
2017.
Totally.
I had to make, like, we finally like got on board and we started to do it, but I still hadn't told like a lot of my inner circle. And so like I think the day of the first news article, which she was being interviewed for, I
gave him a lot of notice, y'all. He just waited to the last second.
Janelle is a spitfire, huh?
So like I had to go on the phone and I had to call like all of my
the whole family. And I said, yeah, because I gave you like a year notice. I was gonna do this and you waited to the last day. That's your fault. You call your family.
I called my family. I called all my friends. Some of my friends knew because like our college was such a small circle. So like,
so my friends knew, the rumor mill started, you know.
Yeah, some of my friends knew. They just knew that. But my
just didn't tell them.
My friends were also very respectful. They're like, hey, that's your problem and your business. You know, as long as you're okay, like we don't care. Yeah. It's like none of my friends like really cared. I mean, they support me, but
it's something how. The things that we think are going to matter to people doesn't matter to them at all. It's us.
Right. And it got proven when we came out, because we came out so publicly. Like I go big or go home. And I was just like, I'm doing it. And we all these new friends we met, our kids go to private Catholic school. I thought, oh my God, I'm about to get kicked out. Like what? No, everyone put their arms around us and we're like, we love you guys. Like that's a lot of information. Thank you for telling me. And we're like, we know it's a lot, but we're doing it not because we want all to air our dirty laundry. It's because we want to show people that you can live a normal, happy, healthy life with kids and not give it to your kids. You know, we've been so blessed. We've been so blessed with 3 healthy children, 10 fingers, 10 toes, and everything coming, you know, with it. And I think it was really the biggest turning point for me was when our son Max was diagnosed with autism. It was just like, you know, God is giving us these challenges, but we're also so blessed. And so we're meant to, in my thoughts was, we're meant to use these, you know, crosses that we have to bear to use them and to be an example. I know I needed someone to show me when I was pregnant that it could be done. And I was so lonely. I was so scared every day of my pregnancy, my first pregnancy especially. I needed someone to show me like it's okay. And you get it, D, because like, you know, it with your own daughter. It was terrifying.
I was petrified.
Terrifying. And petrified's a word. That's right. Because I thought I can't move. I don't know what to do. And so that was it for. So yeah, I told him, you know, I have this opportunity to speak. I'm gonna do it. And I kept bugging him. I kept picking at him and slowly wore him down until finally I was like, I'm doing it.
It was probably good.
You better get on it.
It was probably good, like 2 years of her just like picking.
Yeah.
Did you think she was gonna do it though? I'm pretty sure.
I knew she was. I was just terrified of it.
And I knew he wouldn't do it unless, you know, it's one of those like push him out of the nest. Like I know you're comfortable and you're safe, but you gotta go. And it was kind of it was honestly a very challenging. It was a very challenging part of our marriage, right? Because we got married so young. I was 21 when I got married. He was 25, 24. Yeah. We've grown together, right? So cut to I'm 30, I'm 29, 30, and I'm like, I've changed. I wanted to keep it a secret before. I don't anymore. This is who I am now. And if you don't like it, let me know so I know we can move on. And it was kind of those moments where it was like, look, dude, I'm doing this because I'm not just your wife. I'm my own self, but you know, it made us grow and it's great. I'm never, no looking back, no regrets.
Well, you know, I think just being parents, you have a lot of parents. I've even met women who their children are like teenagers and some of them are in their early 20s and their children still don't know.
Really?
HIV. They don't want their children to know. Some of them it's because they don't want to put that on their children. Again, thinking that something's going to happen, which in turn, it's really not. It's just something that we think, but it's not. And so a lot of people still won't even share it with their children. How did you feel when it comes to your children, and what are you teaching them about what both of you are living with?
So like our children are 8 and 6. So like they know that we have HIV, like we told them, but to like the grasp like the actual heaviness of it, they didn't get yet.
Well, so you're right. He's right. But what I will say, and I'm glad you asked that question because it's very fresh on my mind. I think just last night, my son came to me, my oldest son, and said, "Mom, how long has HIV been here?" And I was like, "Oh, well, it's been around for a long time, since before I was born." And he goes, "Were people dying?" And kind of had to, I was honest. And my son, God love him, he is so emotional, so empathic. God, he had to tell me, "Mom, you're scaring me." And I go, you don't have to be scared anymore. Used to be scared, but we're better now. And mommy and daddy are going to be here for a long time. Don't you worry. We're going to be fine. And I think that it's interesting that having these kids who are living through a pandemic, a major pandemic, they're piecing things together faster, right? Me at 8 years old, I had no idea what HIV was or doing.
They know more than we think they do.
100%. And he put that to me last night because he was, "How long has it been here? Is there a cure? Is there a vaccine?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." He was paying attention when I listened to NPR. He was, and I had to walk him through it. I said, "No, there isn't, because this virus is different. It works in a different way." And he was like, he was just taking it all in, but he was a little nervous. And so I'm actually excited to share that part of our journey on our channels because I think it's important. I think that for us, it's all about vulnerability and putting it all out there. I mean, clearly we talk about everything that happened to us, right? Mm-hmm. And part of it is just, there's power in sharing. And I think that for me, it's going to be powerful in this new endeavor of my son's getting older. He's learning how to do things. How are we going to figure this out? How are we going to explain that way that mom and dad have HIV? They're okay, and you better not get it.
Right. You better not.
That's
my worry with my girls. That's my worry even today. Even though they know I live with it, our children are still, they're their own self.
Right.
And so when they get older, they're going to make their own decisions. Even though they know that I'm living with HIV, they're still going to make their own decisions. And I always say, everybody makes a mistake. It may be a time one of them may go out somewhere and don't have sex with a condom. Oops, they just made a mistake. It happens. People do it. We're human beings. And I'm afraid of that. That's what I'm afraid of. What if it happens, what could you do? You've taught them all you can teach them. And then it's time for them to fly away and spread their wings. You can't follow them everywhere they go and find out if they're using protection or, you just have to keep talking to them about it. I want to play a video.
Okay.
Janelle and Jake are on TikTok, and they are really educating the people on TikTok. I'm going to play one that Janelle had, and then I'll play one from Jake later. I'm going to put myself on mute so you guys can hear it.
Are you lost? It's okay. My question is who's she? Me. Yeah. So hi, you're new here. I'm somebody who's been living with HIV for 10 plus years. I have 3 kids, all HIV negative. I use this channel and other platforms to destigmatize HIV, which clearly still needs some work. And no, not necessarily am I sitting there look at me, ma, I got HIV. It's just part of my life, and I've learned to move forward with it. And now I get this platform and get to, enjoy my life that way. So if you don't like it, you could have kept scrolling. Have a good day. Goodbye. You always get one troll, right? You always get one or two.
What's wrong with people?
So for those of y'all who couldn't see that, the comment, it was a response to a comment that was like, this girl's like proud that she has HIV or something. And I was kind of like, oh, I never thought of it that way. I was like, I guess maybe I am. That was take 2 of my response because my first response was not as nice. And I'm like, no, you're all about spreading positivity. Don't do that. You know, think of Michelle Obama, go high. Well, I can't go that high. I can't go that high. I can only go kind of high. So,
did you take the other response off of there?
No, I said it and I'm like, that wasn't so nice. I'm gonna go back and re-record it. So,
right. So I have 3 of them for Jake. I don't even know which one to play.
He's so crazy.
Well, because we talk about all the time, you know, me and my sisters of advocacy and just friends, we always talk about how this society is always judging and just because someone lives with HIV, a heterosexual man, does not mean that a heterosexual man is gay. It doesn't mean that. Yeah. And it's very frustrating, you know, for people to make these decisions about someone without even knowing them. I want to play this one because this one is funny to me.
Almost it's the one I posted today.
Probably.
Hey, babe, look at this. I didn't know this about myself.
You're gay?
Apparently. I didn't know that.
That's a good one.
That was a funny one.
People are crazy. But then there's another one where someone talked about gay men wearing mustaches and glasses.
There was a comment.
Platform, yes.
Yeah, there was somebody made that comment. I forgot. I think it was on. What? I think it was on the video before that one that comment was attached to.
It was.
You know what? The guy who made that, I know that comment. The guy who made that is a gay man, so he was just saying that I look gay just because of this.
Because you wear glasses and you have a mustache. It was weird.
Well, I think also
that stereotype. The stereotype.
Well, that, and I think we have to be very honest. And Jake has addressed this in his full HIV story. You know, he does admit to having sex with men and women and trans folks, and yeah. People think like people have brought that attention to me, like as if I don't know. Like, y'all think I know who I married? Like I know. Yeah, like I'm like I know. Thanks. He told me years ago, and it's okay. You know we have this privilege of being a straight passing couple when in reality I identify as bisexual. Jake does not identify. Well, I'll tell you. You can tell him identify, but he doesn't identify as bisexual. He did, I guess, experiment if that's the case.
Well, that's the Q in LGBTQ like questioning.
Yeah, and it doesn't bother me. You know, it just people have tried many times, and trust me.
With a man.
I'm gonna pick another gay man around. Gay men love this man and time, and I'm like, take him, go.
And I'm like, no, yeah. Please hold my hand.
And he's like grabbing onto me, all scared all the time, and I'm like, back to go, take him, please.
Yeah,
no,
I was in
a
relationship too with a man who slept with men when he was in his early years, and he told me, and it was up to me to decide, you know, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care.
I just once we eliminate, that's such a really big part though to HIV stigma, you know, homophobia and biphobia and transphobia, that it's such a big thing. And you guys have to understand, like at a certain point, y'all got to get over that. Like y'all being like society, right? And I'm talking to old Janelle too, because it took me a while to realize, like, I don't know if I'm down, but I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter. He's into me. You know, that's who it matters the most. So,
well, what I was going to say is the guy who wrote that comment, he called me gay because he just assumed.
He just assumed it. He assumed it. Yeah. And he had a mustache and glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, he just assumes since I'm HIV positive, I have to be
That's
gay.
always the assumption.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes,
Yeah.
because you were HIV positive. That's what it was. I couldn't remember. But I wanna play this other one because you guys do educate people on HIV. You actually educate people, and I think that's a great thing. With you
We try
using
to.
this huge platform of TikTok. So I want to.
So this is a really good issue and a really hard question to answer in only 60 seconds. But first of all, because in another comment you referenced your nephew who just found out he's positive. Your nephew's got to take care of himself first before he can even worry about dating, and he's got to go to the doctor, get his labs drawn, see where he's at with his viral load, with his CD4 count. Once he gets that under control, then he can really worry about the rest of his life. Because if that's not under control, nothing else matters. But say he's past that, everything's fine. First of all, his life's not over. That's what I thought when I first became positive. But if you're going to go back into dating and tell someone that you're positive, you have to have a library of knowledge back in your mind, because they're going to have so many questions, and you have to be able to explain that everything's going to be safe as long as I'm on medication. We can be fine. We can be a normal couple.
I love that he had to take care of himself. He has to take care of himself first before he thinks about dating, and that is so true. I think a lot of people who find out their diagnosis, the first thing they think is, "Oh, I'm not going to be in a relationship." When
That's not what they need to be worried about.
That you should be worried about, and that was the last thing I was worried about. I thought I was going to die, and I didn't know who was going to take care of my daughter. I didn't. It is the last thing to worry about, and I'm glad that you said that to him, because I think a lot of people don't think like. A lot of people just doesn't click. Doesn't click.
We get all kinds of questions. I think that's always. I think people, especially, and what I will say, Dee, is that like this pandemic has definitely proven that people need people. I think people being kind of locked up and closed. The thought of being alone for the rest of your life, I think, scares a lot of people, right? And not just romantically, but will my friends love me? Will my family love me? Will they treat me? All those things. And so, the best thing that you can do is one, realize that at the end of the day, if you do have no one, you do need to find at least an ounce of hope within you to be okay, because no one's gonna row your own boat in life but you. And two, I think what we realized was we came out to educate and to stigma and to destigmatize, and then it was almost like a dare, like, I dare you to treat me different because I'm HIV positive, because I'm out. Because if you are, that says a lot more about you than it does about me, and I don't think I want to be your friend, right? And the exact opposite happened. We got more friends. We got friends who are really and who will make fun. Who will make fun of us. I mean, our friends do not care, and they joke about it with us. We joke about it, and it's nicely, right? But it's just I feel like it should just be like the way it is. But unfortunately, that's not the case for everybody. And so, if all we can do is educate allies, educate people living with HIV, and you
have to laugh about something, right?
Yeah.
You have to laugh about something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. You live with HIV, it's not going anywhere, and you just have to laugh about it. There's nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing so well.
Thank you.
Well, I think you are. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but
we're good. we're good. I think, if anything was going on, we'd probably be open and honest with it too. But what I will say is, I got the diagnosis, a month or two after we were first married?
No, a few months.
So we started off our newlywed year, like that, and that was tough, and that was not easy, and it made us strong, and it made us realize, you know what? the world is can come down on us, and we still have are we strong enough to still choose each other, to still be part of this marriage? Because I realized, with Jacob, was like, when you marry him, he's HIV positive, and I'm like, well, he's not his HIV, he's Jake, and he happens to have HIV. And then I realized that's the same for us now. HIV does not come up on our daily lives, but only because of this. Right? We choose it to, right? We advocate. We're on TikTok. We're doing this stuff. Other than taking a pill every night, before then, it really wasn't a factor, right? Every 6 months, we go to the doctor. We take our pills. What is much more important in our lives is the fact that he watches too much Star Trek, and I don't like it. The fact that I watch Real Housewives and he don't like it. That he didn't put his clothes in dirty hamper, and it annoys me. The kids are going
things that married couples and families deal with.
That's our real life every day, and I think that this, the advocacy work has just made us be able to just breathe and relax, and now everyone knows, and if they got a problem with it, then we don't want to be with them. It's been very freeing.
So did we talk about that? How did you two of you deal with it 2 months into the marriage, once you found out that Janelle also was diagnosed with HIV? How did you deal with it?
It was a devastating day and a really hard time for a few months. Like I don't remember exactly how long it took us to get back to normal, but it took a while.
Took a while. I don't think I had ever. So fully, transparent. When it happened, we got diagnosed. It was a bad day. Obviously, my love for him is very much deeply rooted, but I was angry. Here's why. I was a good girl. I didn't sleep around. I didn't, I was on the straight and narrow path. I went to college. I was, scholarship. She was a good girl. She didn't do any of that stuff. Around with everybody and mama like this one. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? And so I was mad at him when I should have been having those conversations with him beforehand, right? I said before, we got very intimate, we had all these conversations, and we did, and we got to know each other on deep levels. But I think I was always too afraid to go there, or I didn't know I ever had to go there, right? Because I didn't ever think it would affect me. And so when it did, when I got diagnosed, I was like, why am I now suffering because you wanted to be, can I cuss, a hoe? You know what I mean? And I got real angry, and I had to work through that. And it wasn't nice. And we talked about it, and he was like, you said some foul things that really hurt me. And I'm like, well, I was mad. And he understood, because I think you probably went through the same thing when you were diagnosed, right? You were so
yeah, but I don't for me, when I went back in my history, I couldn't pinpoint.
Yeah.
You couldn't pinpoint.
Yeah.
And for me, as someone who was a case manager of HIV clients, a lot of people have that problem. They don't know how or when or whether it was through sex or drug use. They just don't know.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who don't know.
So yeah, it was tough, but we made it through.
Yeah.
So, okay. It's the same how we, say, we are all responsible for our sexual health. And in the beginning, with both of you were so young, how long did it take you before you realized, wait, hold up, I can't blame him for this? It's both of us that should have probably educated ourselves a little more, made sure what all this viral load and T-cell thing was. How long did it take before you realized I need to step back a little bit and change how we're treating him and take responsibility for it?
Probably a few weeks, honestly. It took me. No, because so when it happened, right? It was kind of like the world kind of stopped and paused, and I was like, oh my gosh, And he was like, let's go to the hospital, and I was like, I didn't know post-exposure prophylaxis existed, right? Which we should have. We should have learned. You know what I mean? We should have taken upon ourselves to learn that. But I think we were so like excited. We were moving in together. Like, so that weekend, for context, was a weekend we were moving in together, right? We were moving in to our new apartment where we were gonna be our newlywed apartment. And so with all the excitement, and I was just like, okay, like, we can have sex, just let's use condoms like the doctor said. The doctor never told us about post-exposure prophylaxis. I'm not blaming the doctor, don't get me wrong. But what I mean by that is we were so excited, like he's on medication, like our world is coming together, right? And so it just didn't click. And I remember Jake was like, would not stop, like, let's go to the hospital. I'm like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? You're on medication already. There's nothing that can be done. And lo and behold, there was. And I think I was just scared. Honestly, I was so scared. I didn't want to face it, and I wanted to hope for the best. Like, God's got me on this one,
Right. Right.
You're not gonna do me like that. And God was like, well, and I truly, genuinely believe, because of the way it happened. I know it sounds dark and weird, but I really think it was probably meant to happen that way, because, then we got to have sex without condoms, and that was a lot better. But if I'm being honest. But at the same time, and it's just, it's our lives. And Jake was I fell in love with Jake before I even knew he had HIV. So it was just the way it was supposed to be.
Oh my God, that is so funny. She said it a lot better. And you had 3 kids from it as well.
Say that.
And then so they had PEP.
Okay. Yep. One second, our kid are knocking. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. They had PEP and PrEP. And she could have went to emergency.
Actually, this was before PrEP came out. So
PEP. They had PEP.
They had PEP. So that actually is kind of like a sore spot for us. It's like 6 months, and PrEP would have been out.
But I've learned that also. I find that a lot of people even have issues getting PEP, even if they go to emergency.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up, because
so I'm just wondering, even if you went, would anybody, there's some people there at emergency doesn't even know what PEP is.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was either until I think it was like the day I came out and was at this conference speaking, and they were like, why didn't you get PEP? And I'm like, what? PEP. And I'm like, I don't know. What are you talking about? And so, in front of all these advocates, I'm learning about PEP, and I'm like, guys, clearly there's work that needs to be done, because I didn't even know, right? Clearly. I'm like, because I'm not dumb. You know what I mean? I'm not the smartest, but I'm not dumb. And so, so PrEP, and that's kind of another reason why we're like, look, this was meant to happen, because PrEP didn't come out till, like I said, like 6 months after I was diagnosed. And it was like, really? Like, I remember, like, I was walking out of the apartment, and I saw something on TV come out. I was like, are you for real? Like, is this really like reality? Like, what a joke. Like, it was nuts.
But you're doing your part.
When all is said and done, it is what it is, right? And we're here, and I can be mad about it and be angry, or I can just accept it and move on, and that's what I've done.
Yeah, or crawl under a rocker in a corner and stay there. But who wants to live like that?
Yeah, not me.
And that's why I always feel that people who advocate because they care, and they're working to change other people's lives so they won't contract HIV, and then working to change other people's lives who live with HIV and live with internal stigma. And so that's what you both are doing. You're changing a lot of lives there on TikTok. You really are. You're changing a lot of lives. And I really commend you for it. I like following you.
I love that you
know how to use it. Even though I don't know how to use it. But you guys can follow. Here's Jake's. I hope you guys can see it. I had them up together, but I took them off. And you can follow him there on TikTok, and you can follow Janelle on TikTok, and I'll just keep putting them up. I probably should have did that since we started. And so, what do you feel has changed as far as you living with HIV and how it is from what's like 13, Jake, it's been 13 years for you?
13, 14 years, something like that.
10 for me.
So do you see a change in it at all?
Honestly, it's just a lot of the like clients that I had or people that we know, like they just live in the shadows of ever talking about their status. And a lot of the general public just don't even realize that it's still a thing. Like a lot of people don't know that like numbers in the South or the southern part of the United States are on the rise.
Right.
You know, as a country, you know, we're going down, but in the South, in Texas, Florida, Georgia, like the numbers are going up, and that's due to like poor education, poor sexual health, also culturally. Like for us Latinos, it's hard. Like how do you always say, babe, for Latinos and talking about HIV or just sexual health?
Yeah. Those very bad that people
talked about. Right, it's not talked about in I think in brown and black cultures, right?
Yep.
For brown and black cultures, it's the worst. Like it is the consequence of bad choices, right? And I think that's part of the internal stigma. Which, sure, okay, I'll give it to you. Sure, it's a consequence, I guess, right? If you want to belittle it to that, sure, whatever. However, that conversation does not help anyone, right? It does not help to be like, well, you shouldn't have been messing around with, you know, with that gay sex, or you shouldn't have been, you know, doing this or that. Like that's not helpful, right? And what about those people who contracted via, you know, just regular, like a condom breaking, like in our situation? Those things happen, and
no one deserves it.
Right. No one wakes up in the morning and is like, today's the day I'm gonna go get HIV.
That's my favorite saying, Janelle.
No one will, like no one's like, I'm gonna go to the HIV store. I'm gonna pick out premium grade HIV, and I'm gonna get it. I'm so excited.
Do you think I just woke up one day and said, "Hey, I have today.
Today's the day." No one does that, right? And so we have to just change the conversations. And I will say also, you know, the best thing my parents did for me, the best thing my mom did for me was I was 8 years old and she educated me about sex, pregnancy, HIV, all that. So I grew up, so before I even got to middle school, I was teaching 6th, 7th graders how they got pregnant, right? And these were brown and black little girls who didn't know what they were doing, got pregnant. And I had to be the one, I remember algebra class explaining it to them. And I think that's also what, when he came to me with his HIV status, I was able to be like, you're not dying, you're HIV positive. Like there's a difference. And so, and until we just change the conversations into thinking that like, you know, sex is bad, only bad things happen from it, we're not going to get any better. You know, we have to take it as it's normal. Sex is good. It's pleasurable. We have to do it the right way. And some things can happen, some things can't, you know, but.
So, Jay,
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Where do you think you would be if you didn't meet this wonderful woman right here that kind of creeped in and changed everything?
I honestly,
for better or worse,
I honestly don't know. Like a part of me could easily say like I would already just be dead because I'm like I said, I didn't think I was gonna live to 30, and I'm 36 now. So there's that. I mean, I want to say eventually I probably would have got on medication, but I don't know for sure because I was really scared at the time.
Yeah.
I think you would have.
That's tough though, you know. And for me, it's like I don't know because I got on meds about 3 months later, and so there are people. It's by choice.
Yeah,
it's by choice. You can't make someone get on meds.
Yeah.
But I always wonder, what is someone thinking who is not on meds? And do you even remember your thought process then on why, or you just didn't think about it, or you just didn't care, it didn't matter anymore? You're just like, I have HIV. It doesn't matter if I get on meds. Life is over with.
No, I wouldn't say it's not that I didn't care. I would say it's because I cared so much that I was scared frozen, and I didn't know what to do, and I was too scared to even like take the first step.
Kind of like with the whole, exposure and not going to the hospital, right? You're just,
Right.
it's too scary. And I think though that this is an important thing to talk about, and I'm glad you brought it up, Jake, that it's so scary. You don't even know what to do next. So you just do the next right thing. And people don't even do that to get tested, right? They're like, I know I was having my hot girl summer and I didn't use a condom and I didn't do nothing. Like what? I don't even know. I'm too scared to even go find out. And we have to change that and be like, you're too scared not to. Like, you really want to just go around and not know or not think or, like, because it's, for me, it's about control, right? If you know you can get on medication, you can control it and you can do that. And I think that a lot of people who choose not to be on medication is in my opinion, and if someone wants to offer me a different opinion, I'm here for it. But I think it's an internalized stigma that is blocking them from it.
Yeah.
Personally,
I agree. Yeah, I do. I agree. It took me 3 months. I just locked myself in my apartment.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I didn't have a reason why. I didn't know what to do. So
Yeah.
I had no clue whatsoever what to do.
Yeah.
And it happens. It happens. And especially back then, what was it in the 90s? I didn't get any.
Yeah.
It was so scary. I didn't know what to do.
So scary.
Yeah, I get it. But it's a blessing that you guys have each other. Yeah. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
That you have each other. And that he was 22 years old, and then he finds this young lady, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, you guys just click. I can tell you click.
I like him. I think I'm gonna keep him for a while.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah. I mean, I think before, everything else, HIV or not, we'd be together. I think the love is real. The love is there. And I think that there's a misconception that people think like, oh, well, they both got it, so they might as well be stuck together. And like, that's such a toxic way of thinking, and
very
and for me, it's like, look, maybe some people are down for that, but I'm the kind of person, you can't tell me what to do. Like, I can't be told what to do by life, by circumstance. Like, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do. And so, I really think that it's helpful that we have had each other this whole journey, but also, if he messes up one too many times, that's it. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's a very good husband. I'm very spoiled. I get breakfast and coffee in bed like every day. It's ridiculous. Like I have to be like, stop. Like, you're doing too much. You're making me look bad. He's very sweet. He's very, very kind. He puts up with a lot. As do I.
Yeah.
No, but I do think, we're opposites attract and we're quite the opposite. So
he seems really quiet. And like I said, you're a spitfire. And usually when opposites attract, they get along better when opposites attract. So that's probably why. You keep excitement in his life because he's nice and calm. And he keeps you nice and calm because you're a spitfire.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I like that. So are there any last words that you want to say to people who live with HIV, especially people in relationships? Say something, last words that has to do with relationships. Because like we said before, so many people feel that they can't be in a relationship when in fact they really can. And maybe you want to touch on a little bit about you equals you.
Yes. You want to go?
No, you go.
Me sure? Okay. So kind of like we mentioned before, you equals you, right? Undetectable equals untransmittable. And what I realized as a parent and as a spouse, you need to work on yourself first. You need to work on HIV within yourself and get undetectable for yourself, not just because you don't want to give it to else, but because you want to be able to just live your best life. Same goes for all those other parts of yourself that are viral, that can catch on. Your toxic ways, your jealousy, your insecurities, your traumas, all that. Those need to be at a point in your life that you're constantly working on, to where you will not spread that onto your spouse, to your children, to all that. Undetectable equals untransmittable is beautiful, because it's not just about, in my opinion, HIV. It goes beyond that. It goes with all that. So you really, and it starts with you. The only you equals you. You equals you. So you work on you first, and then everything else will be able to fall into place, because it really truly is, you know, if you can't love yourself, how can you love somebody else? And I think, in my opinion, especially with HIV, taking care of yourself is a form of loving yourself. And when you're able to do that, you can love each other better. Because I think Jake and I have loved each other for one another. And that's been both wonderful for each other, but it's also been a big hard part of our relationship as we grow together. Like, I realized, you know what, like, I can't love you for you. You have to love yourself enough to fix yourself. Right. Same here too. And we grow and find that together. So work on yourself, do what you can for yourself constantly, and everything else will fall into place.
I believe that. And it's not only just living with HIV. I think a lot of people who probably diagnosed with HIV didn't love themselves to begin with. So then they contract HIV. Now, I'm going to say everybody. I'm not going to say everybody. But then you contract HIV, and then your self-esteem just drops, you know, thinking that you can't find love. And so just like that, you have to love yourself first. You can't be in a relationship trying to love someone else and thinking they're going to love you when you don't love yourself first. So it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
And I think we're done.
All right.
That was quick.
Jay said, all right, let's get off of here. All right, I appreciate you guys. And you have any other last words? You have any last words, Jay? Couple words, few sentences or something you want to give somebody some hope? Or
just that, like, just because you get diagnosed with HIV doesn't mean your life is over and that you can't do anything else. Like, and like Janelle said, like, just work on you, get on meds, make sure that you're undetectable, and then everything is, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be the same or easier, but you can live a long, healthy life just like everybody else.
All right. Thank you, both of you.
Thanks, Steve.
Human being, you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then you guys can find them here. Here's Janelle's TikTok. JANELIALEJANDRA. And Jake's is JAKECASTREJANA. I want to talk to you guys just a quick bit. So I have my No Shame in HIV shirt on today, and I'm probably going to have it on all day. But No Shame in HIV, Kevin Maloney started this campaign some years ago, and he's shutting it down. He's shutting the campaign down. And I want to read just a little bit about what he said about the campaign. And I love Kevin Maloney dearly too. He says, beginning March 28th, Rise Up to HIV will go offline. And he talks about starting a new job and not having time to devote to the project anymore. And so it's going offline on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And so he started that Rise Up to HIV to reduce stigma, inspire hope, and empower lives. And he wanted to wholeheartedly thank everyone who has visited that page and the other social medias pages with Rise Up to HIV through the years. So go on to the page, tell him thank you, and just give your best regards and goodbye to Kevin Maloney for everything that he has done. So I see people wearing these shirts walking down the street, and I don't know them. There's so many people that followed that, and how he's changed so many lives, telling people to have no shame in who they are. So thank you so much, Kevin Maloney. I love you dearly, and I hope to see you soon. So again, go to Rise Up to HIV on Facebook and give your goodbyes and thanks to Kevin Maloney for all that he has done. And you guys, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that you have to go to the Center for HIV Law and Policy. That's hivlawandpolicy.org, hivlawandpolicy.org. That's to find out about the HIV criminalization laws in your state. You can type in I think it's your city, state, and zip code, and to give you the criminalization laws in your state. Every person who lives with HIV needs to know about the criminalization laws. They really do. Especially every person who lives with HIV needs to know. And then if you're looking for a wonderful women's organization online for women who live with HIV, you can go to thewellproject.org, thewellproject.org. So many articles for women on there, and a lot of the women are writing the articles as well. But there's so much information for us on thewellproject.org. You can go on there and you can read them. You can actually go on there and contact and inquire about being a blogger so you can write for them. And then I want to talk about a beautiful woman named Alicia Trammell, who started an organization called Positive People Network, PPN. You can find them on Facebook, or you can go to positivepeoplenetwork.org. She's doing some amazing things, not just in her community, but for everyone. Go check her out. Go check her out, positivepeoplenetwork.org. And you can go to u=u.org or preventionaccess.org to find more about U=U. U=U means a person who lives with HIV can no longer transmit as long as they stay in care and in treatment. They become virally suppressed, which means undetectable, which means we cannot transmit HIV to our partners. Everybody have an awesome and amazing day. And this is Positively D Discussion. You have to remember that HIV exists. You have to get tested. You have to use protection, because if you have contracted HIV, you can get on medication and you can live a better, healthier life. Have an amazing Saturday. I love each and every one of you, and I will see you next week.